We, in 2 hours, discovered 6 men who were named as co-conspirators, whose name was blacked out. And the Justice Department acknowledged it. They admitted they were wrong. But look, we got 2 hours, and there are 3 million files. So if we could come up with 6 names in 2 hours, imagine how many other names are out there that have not been exposed. And that's why I went to the floor of the House today and named those names and said those names. And it's actually been the biggest reaction I've gotten, even more than when we passed the Epstein Transparency Act. Why? Because people want accountability. They're tired of the cover-up. They want people out there not just writing letters or passing laws. They want accountability for the folks who may have committed these crimes. And there is a lot of explaining to do. The FBI has a lot of explaining to do of why they redacted so many of these things in March and haven't unredacted it, and why still 70 to 80% of things are redacted.
Now, 2 things. One is a follow on what you just mentioned about March, because I don't think people get that and why it's so important to you. But did they have an answer for you of, if I'm named as a co-conspirator, there's a charge, there's an investigative theory, there's likely a case. How come we never heard about any of those things regarding these 6 names?
They claim it was sloppiness in the review. But because there were some of the co-conspirators who were women, and some of those people could be survivors, and my guess is they just looked at it and said, okay, we're going to redact everything. But the broader question is, why are some of the senior people in the Trump administration saying, well, there's no one else who needs to be charged. There's nothing else there. We've released all the files. They know that there are all these co-conspirators. Even if they were improperly redacted, they know that there are other people who committed these crimes. And we have been told, these survivors have been told, it's all a hoax. They're 2 people. It's a dead guy, Epstein, and it's Maxwell, and no one else committed these crimes. And now we know that's patently false.
Why does March matter? You keep bringing that up of, hey, they did this back in March before they even gave it to the redactions. What are you talking about?
Let me try to be simple here. The Department of Justice, after we passed the law, there were good faith U.S. attorneys going through a lot of these documents, and their task was largely to redact survivors' names, and many of them did it in good faith. But back in March, the FBI was ordered to redact files, to scrub these files. You remember that. Some people are saying they were scrubbing Trump's name. I don't know, but they were certainly scrubbing these files. Those files then were sent to the Justice Department based on Massey and my law, but the Justice Department says we got them redacted. We just uploaded them. We didn't make these redactions. That was done back in March. And the reality is that the law Massey and I passed required them to unredact those FBI files. Now, why is it those FBI files matter? That's where the survivors told the agents who else raped them. That's when they told them the details of who else abused them. And that is the most redacted part. Last point here, Chris, because some people may say, well, you don't want to expose that because those are hearsay. Those are not cross-examined. These people weren't charged. Fine, you could have made that argument in the House of Representatives. You could have made that argument in the Senate. You didn't. The law passed. Now you need to abide by that law.
100%. I mean, your argument is completely sound on this point. I have a question of curiosity. How is it possible that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were in the positions they were in and didn't know about what you are discovering right now? And if you do not believe that reasonably they would not have known, how do you explain, and how curious are you to know why they never said anything when this is what they were known for that got them in office in the first place?
Well, they owe the country an explanation. They obviously knew. The most honest thing they could have said is it would take a law of Congress, because a lot of these things are protected by court orders, and you're going to need a law of Congress for us to overturn it. They never said that. That's what they probably should have said if they were being honest, that they didn't want to defy court orders. But here's the problem. Once the law passed, no one said, let's unscrub the FBI files. So they need to explain to the American public why these people are being protected. You know, I'm less concerned about what Kash Patel said. I'm more concerned about what's in those FBI files and whether we're actually going to get justice for the people who committed horrible crimes. And Chris, you know this. Look at every other country acting. I mean, look at Britain, look at Norway, look at other countries. Why is it that in the United States of America there's no accountability when other countries are taking this so much more seriously?
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.